We will never be insane. Brothers, sisters, gone but not forgotten. We will always, yeah, always, forever remember everyone.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Three Dad Bods with Brent, Carl, and Sean.
Hey, what's
Good
going on?
morning, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, so we begin this week with 9/11.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I kind of wonder, because 9/11 is our generation's, Pearl Harbor Day. It's our generation's December 7th. It's kind of our generation's, probably the biggest event, I would say, that happened in our lives, at least, for our generation and, for our friends and for our family. I've always wondered why or when 9/11 is going to become a day of remembrance, like a holiday. I know it's close here to Labor Day, but still, I feel like this day has a day of great significance and remembrance. And from September 12th, 2001 until now, I've always been very vocal about how I felt about the day, but at the same time, I've never been insensitive towards what happened as far as, American citizens against people, against, what happened in New York City on that day. And I've never forgotten how I felt that day with the events that happened and watching everything in disbelief right in front of, my very own eyes. But that's one thing I've always felt, is that September 11th should be a holiday, a recognized day of remembrance.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I was having a conversation right after September 11th with a grandparent, and I asked them what they thought, and basically they said it reminded them, because they were about 20 at the time when this happened, but during Pearl Harbor, kind of some of the same exact feelings that I was having that day, they were having. And one of the phenomena, and I don't know, maybe there's some biological reasons behind it, but that day of all days is probably, I have the best memory of, because I've had a lot of good days and bad days in my life, but that day, it's almost like a movie. It's that the clarity of my memory for most of that. It's fading a little now, but the first few years, I almost remembered every detail of that day. Every detail.
Right.
What I was doing, when I was doing it, when I saw the first plane. Well, the first plane, I was asleep. It happened about 5 minutes before I got up, and then it didn't happen shortly after. The second plane hit, and I'm like, I turned on the Today Show, and I was like, my father-in-law upstairs, because I was staying at their home that morning for a new job I was working, and he's like, a plane hit the World Trade Center. And I'm like, what? So I flipped on the Today Show, and as I was watching right then, there's this other plane coming right into it, and I thought, is this a replay? And then they're like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, oh shit, we're under attack. That's the first thing I thought, we're under attack. And then it unfolded from there. And so it was just crazy day.
Yeah, you mentioned, your grandparents, and, my mom, and talking to my mom, and when my dad was alive, they can vividly remember where they were and what they were doing when Pearl Harbor happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, they didn't have television coverage, but they had radio.
Right.
And during those days, that was a common theme, where you would always sit by the radio, or they would have, you'd be outside at stores and stuff like that, and they would have radio and news and stuff like that playing. And that was broadcast across the country that we are under attack. And so, yeah, much like you're saying, Carl, we turn this on and we feel like we're under attack. We
Mhm.
don't know what's going on or anything like that.
Sean, let's kind of go over that. What were you doing that morning? Can you remember?
It's still very vivid in my mind. So, maybe it's an age thing for you. I don't know. You are older than the other two of us. Anyway, I was driving to work,
Whippersnapper.
and my wife called me and said, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe it," because we just had we had just started our family, and our first child. So she had decided to be a stay-at-home mom. So she was at home, and so she calls me. Somebody just flew their plane into the World Trade Center. And so my first thought was, oh my gosh, some jackass in a propeller,
Yeah, that's what I
plane
thought too.
Yeah. Because that
hit
happened
the
a
World
few
Trade
years
Center.
ago too. But before that happened,
Yeah.
And the Empire State Building
Right.
happened like in the 50s or 60s too.
Well,
Yeah.
a B-20 bomber hit the
Mhm.
Empire State Building, but I think
and the building didn't collapse, by the way. But anyway,
I think a smaller passenger plane hit the Empire State Building too. So, and I believe at some
in the World
point,
Trade Center.
the World Trade Center was hit by
Yeah.
a small plane. So,
Yep.
Well, and
that's,
then-
you know,
and then
that's
remember, guys-
the first thing in my mind.
And not more than a few years before that, in 1995. Remember the garage that blew up on the
bomb.
Yeah.
the bombing
Oh,
at the World Trade
absolutely.
Center.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no question.
Anyway, sorry, Sean.
So I no, that's good. So I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, oh no, that's really sad. Somebody, and then I get to work, and I work at the time. I was working for Honeywell in the main data center for the company, which was a 3-story, very secure building. Anyway, I got there, and my coworkers were all huddled around a television inside the data center. And so I go join them, and a few minutes later, we see the other plane come in and hit the other tower, and we all knew right then, oh my gosh, this is purposeful. This is an attack. And the couple of the guys that I worked with were military officers that were in reserve state, and they looked at each other and they're like, looks like we just got reactivated,
Wow.
And one of them said, yeah, let's go turn the desert into a glass factory. Because the first things that were going through our heads were, this is something happening from terrorism. And,
Yep.
we were right.
How
of
could they
course,
be on
and-
our land?
Yeah, the only thing that could have done that would have been a terrorist attack. If it was a government entity, it would have been a military attack, not the stealing of civilian airplanes and the murder of the innocent civilians in the airplanes. It wouldn't. That's not how it would have happened. And so, we were in a bit of a state of shock. But, we were really pissed. And there was one person there who was really, really a super left-wing person. And we would have chats and talk about things. We didn't dislike her. She was nice. But we had some spirited debates with her, and she was very quiet, and her general
Probably scared.
her general attitude was we need to be friendly to these people, and they wouldn't do stuff like that. And she was
Before
just
that.
very quiet, and she just was very quiet and just kind of walked away. And I didn't know, I couldn't tell if she was having different thoughts than she normally did, and maybe couldn't reconcile them within herself, or if she felt the same way but knew that that wasn't the time to start spouting off, because we were all really, really worked up,
Yeah.
So it was
Hey,
terrible. I
Brent.
just, I can't, I
Go
still
ahead.
think that it's hard to believe that that actually happened.
And
Yeah.
Brent, what were you doing? What was your morning like that morning?
Well, so on the day before September 10th, my son Bobby was born.
Oh,
Great day in
really?
history.
Okay.
So I had we always have, well, I have a tradition that when we have a baby born, that night I go and I stay at home in bed because it'll be my last night of sleep for God knows how long. So I had gone home I had my oldest, Maya, with me at home. Fell asleep, much like Sean, and much like you, Carl. And when I woke up, totally oblivious to what's going on, and being a proud papa of my new son and everything like that, I was anxious to call people, and so I called my work. Obviously, I hadn't had the TV on or anything like that, but I called my work and was happy and ecstatic, and was talking to a guy. I remember the guy's name was Steve Crump. I was talking to him, and I, tell him about my son and everything, and the guy sounded like his mom had just died.
Oh,
And I'm like,
geez.
Steve, what's wrong? And he's like, Brent, are you not watching TV? I'm like, no, I just woke up, he says, turn on the TV.
Oh, yeah.
And so I turn on the TV, and at that time when I turned it on, only one of the towers was standing. The other one had already collapsed.
Oh, it already
And
the North Tower already
yeah,
collapsed
whichever
before
one.
you even got on.
So
Wow.
yeah, so I'm looking at this. Now keep in mind, I have no idea what's happened.
Right.
You've got no context at
And
that point.
and so I'm like, Steve, there's only one tower. What
happened?
did they demolish it? Yeah, that was my first thing. Is like, did they demolish it? And I could see the smoke from the other one that was coming out. And he's like, Brent, we've been under attack. And so now all those thoughts and everything that you and Sean and were talking about are hitting my brain like a landfall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we're under attack. What's going on? My family, my wife's in the hospital miles away from me. Is she okay? Is this going on anywhere else inside the country? Is this happening everywhere? Are planes just flying all over our entire country?
Well, when
And so
yeah.
and so as I'm talking to him and processing this, the second tower begins to collapse as I'm watching it.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, I just remember like, oh God, no. Oh my God, what is, and it just, crumbles straight down
Yeah.
like an implosion. But, and so just a wave of, I guess, fear is the best way to describe it, because
I was angry. I was angry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like somebody breaking into your own house.
I wanted to fight. That's the feeling I felt. Right before you get in a fight, that fight or flight. I was actually wanting to do something. Because when you were at that stage, I was at a training on how to cut meat. I was running my friend's restaurant at the time because I was transitioning back from Idaho to Salt Lake or Utah, and so they tabbed me to run this place called Diamond Lils in Provo, and so I was at the main office learning how to cut meat, and he turned out to be a friend of mine that I worked with as a partner in the mortgage business for a while later. But Joel was trying to show me how to do it, but we were watching it on the side on his little tiny TV set, and we were like, "Holy crap! What the hell is going on?" And there was some language that was a little more flavorful than that coming out of our mouths, and we were watching that. We're like, "Holy crap!" And when I left that, wasn't thinking about cutting meat or running a restaurant. I was thinking about, okay, I even called what's the blood place, Red Cross, and I was
Red
like,
Cross.
"Hey, do you have any spots?" Because I was thinking we probably lost 30,000 Americans this morning. I mean,
Yeah.
I think each
Or more coming.
yeah, each of those skyscrapers had what, 15,000, Sean, that would work there every day, each one of them.
Yeah, they were small cities within the buildings.
Yeah.
That place is. I don't know if have you guys ever been there before they went down?
I
The
have.
places were
I hadn't.
freaking huge.
No.
Yeah.
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 Huge.
And an icon of New York City. Every image of New York City is taken
yeah.
at that peninsula point there with the two
Absolutely.
World Trade
Yeah.
Centers and the Empire State Building back in the background. It was an iconic symbol of our country. Do you guys remember? I obviously got ready, left, and went to the hospital.
Yeah.
But I remember how quiet the skies were,
Oh, yeah.
and the only planes that were in the air were military aircraft. It was a very almost like Red Dawn.
They shut everything down that day. Everything.
But and all you could hear above were military aircraft flying over. You'd see like an Air Force jet fly over, and it reminded me of Red Dawn. I'm like thinking, we're gonna have to go up into the hills. I got to take my guns up and get ready to go. Is this?
Well, when they attacked the Pentagon,
and then the hospital was
when they
quiet
attacked
too.
the Pentagon, Brent, I literally thought this couldn't be terrorists. This has got to be a lot bigger than that. I was thinking Russians at that point or Chinese, because there's no way in hell a bunch of we just kicked Iraq's butt a few years before that, and I was thinking there's no way that Obama not Obama, what was Osama
bin Laden.
Yeah, Osama could do something like that. Yeah, I had literally, and we can debate this later, but maybe it wasn't all him. But the reality was, I was like just appalled, and then soon after that, 93 crashed. We didn't know why, and I was just like, man, did these guys like take over
the anthrax,
all the planes? I mean, crazy stuff.
It was just boom, 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 boom. Those series of events that happened. I remember the hospital was very quiet.
Yeah.
Hospitals aren't quiet. You're hearing all kinds of stuff, and everybody was glued to their TV sets.
All day.
And I remember at the end of that day, I felt beat up.
Mm-hmm.
I felt almost overstimulated with everything, and kind of wanting just to get away. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, to have
let's
it
put
end.
this on pause for a minute. Let me put something else in my mind. And we actually rented, because at the hospitals you could rent these little, videos. Children videos were a little square thing. You'd put it into this machine and you could watch a movie on them. We didn't have Netflix. Sorry, guys. But I remember we got Star Wars.
Oh boy, that's a good one.
I watched Star Wars in the room there, but it was just, I honestly don't remember watching Star Wars. It was just on. You know what I mean? Because everything else is just cycling through your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The events that happened during the day, trying to process what happened.
Oh, there's a lot of, and then there was a lot of speculation. It was.
Yeah.
It was. Well, then the story started. You started hearing the crazy, cool stories of heroism that began to trickle out, like the firefighters and New York's police officers that went up. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the structure of the towers. So, the elevators were immediately locked out, basically from wherever the planes hit to the top of each of those buildings. Therefore, there was no way to get firefighters straight up to where the fire was. And all those people above those floors were completely cut off from getting out of the towers. And when those bodies, when they started hurling themselves, when the flames got higher and higher in those buildings, and they started
Oh my gosh.
literally hurling themselves, and I was listening to the radio broadcast, and you could hear this thump, thump, and someone was asking, "What is that?" And then the announcer was like, "Those are bodies hitting the aluminum roof. You know, they have a little roof at the bottom where people can come out, and there's a little shade. Well, those bodies were literally hitting that and making that noise, and I'm like, I was just in my mind going, "Oh, this is serious, man." I mean, could you? I mean, I don't blame some of those people. That there's this famous picture of this guy just, piled out. He's just going, I don't know, it looked like Greg Louganis, and the kind of the and he was going straight down head first, and I'm thinking he did that on purpose. But burning to death or dying in about 3 seconds, which one would you choose, guys? I don't blame the guy. I would have done the same thing. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's a horrible thought either way, and
yeah.
you talk about a lot of these, there's several stories of people continuing to go up and help people come down, and go up and help people come down, and go up. And keep in mind, these towers were 1,200, 1,300 feet tall,
Hundreds of
and
stories,
so
yeah.
that is like a quarter of a mile
Oh.
tall. Okay,
I couldn't make it up.
Upstairs.
I can't make it up 10
Upstairs.
stories, literally.
yeah.
Yeah.
And stairwells full of people, full of smoke, full of fear, and countless people who sacrificed their lives. These firemen and these policemen, again, in the same situation that you and I are in, not knowing what is going on, what has happened. Their only thought is save lives.
Well, can you?
That's their only thought. Get in and save lives. And they're going straight. When other people are coming out, they're going straight in.
Could you imagine?
That's the difference between.
Yeah. Well,
you know.
well, think about it. You're a firefighter or police officer at the South Tower. The North Tower just collapsed, and there's people you need to save and still in that South Tower.
That's their only thought. That is literally their only thought.
Yeah.
Save as many people as I can.
Amazing.
And that's what they did. And they sacrificed their lives to save hundreds of people. The most selfless act of kindness that can be given.
Yeah.
To sacrifice your own life for the life of others. Not just one person, but others. Just incredible.
What was your guys' feeling that afternoon and evening and the next day, as far as being an American?
Hatred.
No. I mean, no, not just
Like Sean said.
not against the terrorists, but as all of us in it together. I mean, I kind of had a feeling. I wasn't. It was the first time.
It was one of the most patriotic times
Right.
that we've had in our country in
Right.
a very long time.
I don't think
It's the
anything
last
has
time
united the
we
American
had
people.
any
like-
kind of. Yeah, it's
Proudness.
the last time that we had any kind of cohesion in this country. We haven't
Yeah.
we haven't had a togetherness since 9/11. Since that happened, it's
No.
been a slow
It's been divide.
trickling of separation until the severity
Separation,
of
yep.
separation that we have now, which is really
Yeah.
sad.
There was no
Really,
black.
really
there was
sad.
no white. Yeah, no black, no white. There were no Mexicans. There were no Asians. There were no gays. There were no straight people. It was us. It was us as Americans. One whole weld of Americans. And we do not like what happened to our country.
We were pissed. I remember that night
were.
that Bush talked
Everybody.
that next night.
Everybody.
Oh man, there was some anger. There was some. Let's go.
And
get
we
this
lot
hugged
done.
each
of
other.
anger.
And we looked at each other. We hugged each other. We comforted each other. We did things together as a country.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember
it was
that
ironic.
picture? That picture of Congress out on the steps of the
Oh, yeah.
Capitol. That's the kind of you get a bunch of the. Most of those guys are friends anyway. So, but the idea. Can you imagine them doing that today? Oh my gosh.
Well, what was ironic was only a year before that was that election with Gore and
Yeah.
Bush, the
Right.
hanging
Yes.
Chaz. And we were literally at
Yeah.
each other's throats. That was the beginning of this 50-50, let's kill, we want to tear each other apart. But you got involved, but one thing with Americans, you want to really bring America together and create some very difficult times for yourself. You punch us, and somewhere we're not expecting it, and really cause some pain, and American people will rise up and just literally kamikaze on you after that. So I now I
Well,
can
here's a
see
question.
why. Yeah,
Would that happen today? I mean, I've thought about it. What would happen today if something like that happened? And I'm not certain that that would bring us together in the same mode. I'm not certain of it. What do you think?
I think it would. I think it would. I think even with the divide that we have in our country, because like Carl mentioned earlier, that the year before we had that election, and that is when this divide really started to slice in between us. I think it would, for a momentary time, bring people together as a one again.
especially if they shut off all our cell phones for a day or two. That would even the younger generation would get pretty ticked off if that happened.
Well, especially the younger generation, because they don't know how to survive without that electronic,
No.
which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
But
Well,
whatever.
Brent, that brings up, and this is where some of your kind of tinfoil stuff comes into play here.
I don't think it's tinfoil anymore.
I know, but I'm just saying. Well, knowing that's the only way to get consensus with the American people is to have a crisis like this. It would be very easy to. Well, it wouldn't be easy, but and you can't do it very often. But at critical points, being able to manipulate public togetherness like that over an issue like at 9/11, I mean, that's got to be a very powerful tool that politicians might be tempted to employ, and that's. I mean, I know you and I
let's
don't
be honest.
agree on the conspiracy part.
But let's be honest,
Yeah.
though. You wouldn't need a large event like that to happen to bring everybody together. All you would need to have done is the higher ups tell the media, all right, we're going to flip the narrative, and now I want all media blasting to be United States combined together. We are as one. It would happen literally in a matter of weeks.
Well, they've kind of tried
because
that with
everybody's so influenced by what the press does in pushing the agenda.
Well, you kind of saw that a little bit with this whole "let's be united behind Ukraine against the Russians," right? And
At
I
first,
mean, it's
difference is that's a different place.
Yeah.
That's another place.
Yeah.
I don't give a
And-
fuck about Ukrainians or Russians.
and 40 of us really don't care about the Ukrainians, right? And it's just like, I mean,
Right.
do we care about the humanitarian side? Yes. Do we feel like it's our job to interfere in other people's foreign affairs? No. And it shouldn't be. But there's still a lot of people that get manipulated into, the song and dance and let's get behind the Ukrainians and wrap ourselves in their flag, which is stupid. But anyway, well, back to 9/11. Some of the stories I heard were just, were incredible. They even had some movies. Remember that Nicolas Cage movie? Did you guys? The only thing is, I'm kind
No.
of claustrophobic, and so if I would have got caught in that rubble, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, watching that show was the
Wait,
most
hold on a
uncomfortable
minute.
experience. Yeah,
are you talking about being caught like as if you were in the building and when it went down?
Yeah.
Because you would have been dead. I mean,
Oh, well, yeah, I'm a little mushy. I would have, yeah. But I'm just saying.
I'm going to tell you, though, Carl, that I think in those kinds of circumstances, what your past feelings, thoughts, everything like that are thrown outside the window and your body goes into a survival mode.
Yeah.
And so whether you're claustrophobic or anything like that, that's not your concern with your mindset. Your mindset is surviving.
Yeah.
Getting I mean, I can't even fathom, getting yourself into a position where you can find air and breathe for a time being and be able to, hopefully wait it out until they pull a goddamn building off of you,
Yeah, no, there's some
I
crazy
mean,
stuff. I mean, did you look at the
yeah, yeah.
aftermath of that? It looked like a nuclear bomb had
And
gone off in that
and,
area.
and remember too, again, not knowing what's going on. Like you went into work that morning and now you've got 900,000 tons of concrete sitting on top of you.
Oh, geez, yeah, yeah.
You have no idea what's going on.
And then, I mean, I remember the stories of the rescuers that came, just people from all over the country. I mean, a guy from Kansas City with his dog, a homeless guy, shows up to help out in the line, moving rubble to find survivors. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
And when we're talking rubble, it's not pieces of wood.
I mean,
It's giant slabs of concrete.
and metal.
That building was thick, reinforced steel and concrete.
Oh, just amazing.
And
What
glass.
those people dealt with.
The glass is shattered. Well, the glass is shattered all over the place. So
Yeah, but
it's,
I'm
that's,
just saying it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
it over. I mean, if you drop a glass from your counter high up, it shatters, and you got a lot of little pieces
Exactly.
all over the place, and you have to be careful not to shred your fingers when you're cleaning it up. Can you imagine going through all of that? And I mean, just there is
Oh,
at
yeah.
that point glass everywhere.
Oh, and the dust.
Just terrible.
The dust that was floating around.
Absolutely. I mean, can you imagine breathing
We saw
powdered
Pigville.
glass in? I mean,
Covered.
come on. Oh my gosh. So one thing
yeah.
that can I bring something up that I still think is really amazing? You guys know who Steve? I can't remember his how you pronounce it. Buscemi, or is that how you say it?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guy in
The actor?
Fargo
The actor.
and Empire and yeah. So did you know that before he was an actor, he was a firefighter for New York City?
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. No.
So
I knew that
After
from
9/11.
he was in a movie with his nephew, and he kind of brought that up because he plays a fire chief in that movie. His nephew is Davidson. I mean, he's got eyes exactly like his uncle. I can't remember the guy's
he's
name.
trippy looking, man. Steve.
Yeah.
He's just,
yeah.
Anyway, sorry,
but
Sean.
he went to his firehouse, and he's after 9/11, and he spent a couple of weeks helping with the recovery effort after that. And
Yeah.
I just thought that is such an amazing thing to do for a dude who I realize that he used to be that, but at this point in his life, he's got money and fame, and that's really not something that he would ever need to do, but he did. He put his life on the line to help his brother firefighters and sisters, excuse me. And I just think that is such an incredible story. He's
It
a
is.
hero.
It's another.
You don't.
Every
You
time
didn't
I
see
fly
George
in-
Clooney doing that.
Well, that's true. Well, United Airlines 93, that was another story that really hit me hard during that day. I was watching, they actually had a movie on it, but when you heard the entire story, though, and I know there's speculation of
Let's
did
roll.
it really crash or not, but yeah, let's roll was the famous phrase. And just now when I fly too, I'm like, would I have the guts to do what those guys did? And maybe in a way, maybe they felt like they had no other choice. But I mean, even on the planes now, I'll be on it. I'm like, okay, if that dude over there's, got up, what would I do? I'm 300 pounds. I'll knock that son of a bitch right on his back and suffocate the sucker. But probably get shot a few times. But who cares, right? But that story is amazing. Just the fact that they were able to talk to loved ones at home, some of them, leaving messages for them. And at first, they didn't know exactly what was going on, right? When the plane got turned around. They were close to Ohio at that point, from what I understand. And then the terrorists turned the plane around after they took over the cockpit. And then they were getting feedback from relatives while they're on that plane. Hey, you guys are going to get flown into something. This is what happened in New York and what happened in Washington, D.C. I mean, what would you think, Sean, if you were, in the back of that plane? You've flown a lot in your life.
I have flown a lot, but most of the time it was in the front of the plane. Anyway, I just,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
What a flex Sean. Woo!
I got
Some of us
bumped
don't have
up.
that big boy money.
I got
Nice
bumped up
flex.
to first class a lot. Sorry. Anyway, no, I think at that point, I think a good number of people would feel like, well, I got nothing to lose, so let's
Yeah.
go screw some people up. Let's go get these guys. That sounds, it's easy to be brave like that. When I'm sitting in my house thinking about it, but I think. I don't know. It just at that point when you've got nothing to lose and if you're convinced we're going to go into a building, I mean, how can you? I can't imagine not being willing to do something to make sure that we weren't the only people that were going to die, because at that point there is no
guys,
hope for yourself.
If my plane is being held hostage by a bunch of guys holding box knives,
Yeah, that's the other thing. Box knives. They're probably not that big of people either.
I don't give a shit who you are. I will take your fucking ass out with box knives.
Absolutely, man.
I'm sorry.
I'll take a few.
There's going to be enough people that are going to. Like you got 4 guys with box knives in a plane of 200 plus people.
You can poke
Sorry,
me.
guys,
Yeah, you guys
but-
gonna say you can poke
Yeah.
me. I've got a lot of space. You can poke me a few times with those box knives. I'll get you though.
Yeah, 200 against 4 people with box knives. That seems like a pretty unfair fight.
I don't think it would take a lot, honestly, at that point, because the whole plane would lose their shit. But I mean, at that time, planes were a little bit different. They didn't, the cockpit wasn't locked down the way that they are now. It's
Right.
Well, and
Yeah,
remember too, these crisis, consultants always say, hey, just back in those days, it was, someone wants to take your wallet, let them do it. If don't make the crisis worse by reacting violently because you might hurt someone else, including yourself. I mean, you got those kind of messages, public messages a lot.
Hey, do you guys want to hear my tale of bravery, just real quick?
Yeah, let's hear it. Oh, boy. You're not
So-
terrorizing another guy in your neighborhood. Are
Sorry,
you? Yeah,
sorry, but
all
but
right.
but I want the audience to know what kind of brave, because you're bringing up, somebody's going to rob your wallet. Just sit back and let them take it and all that stuff. So, probably 25, maybe 30 years ago, my wife and I are in Moab, like out in the wilderness in Moab. We have this big cabin tent. 2 of us in this big cabin tent. This tent is so big. It has an awning in the front and an awning in the back. Like, it is a big cabin tent for the 2 of us. I don't know why it's so big, but it's like Sean flying first class. It's how we roll.
That's what she said.
So, I know. So we are, we're asleep, sound asleep, in the middle of nowhere, and I hear some noises that sound like it's coming from the car, and I hear like footsteps, like around the tent, and I'm like, oh fuck, we're being robbed.
Oh, boy.
And it sounds like there's multiple people out there. Just stay calm, stay cool, let them do whatever they're going to do. Don't make a peep, and just let them get the hell out of here, right? So I'm sitting there, Tracy's sound asleep, of course, snoring. And and then I'm hearing like,
Oh, wait. Hold your story. Happy birthday, Tracy. Belated, of course. But, and you need an award, let me tell you, for living with that dude for how many years now, Brent? How many years have you
been a
terrorized
long
the poor
time,
lady?
but
Okay, all right.
But when I finish this
All right.
story, you'll understand why she does, because of my bravery.
Oh, you're right.
and
Okay,
her, and
go
her
ahead.
protection. Yes. So this will kind
I
of tie
thought you were
everything
going to make
together.
that death
So
joke.
Yeah.
no, not yet. So anyway,
He wishes
so
in that department, but go ahead.
yeah, no. So I jump out with my big dick, and they look at it and they're like, "Ah!" They ran away.
right.
No, that's
Like,
not.
oh,
There's
so
a
Gary,
reason
was
she
that a
calls you
male or-
Junior.
Yeah. Junior.
Anyway, so I'm laying there still, but I can hear, like I'm hearing all these footprints going, like people walking back and forth around the tent. And so finally, I'm like,
I feel like we're watching an episode of
I
the $6
can't
million
take this anymore.
Man here.
oh, hey, it gets better. It gets better.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so there's zipper doors on each side of the tent. So I hear these steps going over, and I jump over Tracy and I lift up the zipper a little bit to look around, and I don't see anybody. But then behind me I hear footsteps. So I jump back over to the other side, unzip the little thing open again. I can't see anybody out there, and I hear footsteps back over here again. So I'm like, fuck it, I can't take this anymore. So I open up the zipper, I jump outside, and I'm like, ah, screaming. There's nobody there. Nobody
you look
around.
Like a complete ass.
What I'm hearing as footsteps is the wind hitting the awning of the tent, going back. The wind just flickering the whole tent back and forth.
That's worse than chipmunks, Sean. It was the wind.
So I'm
Jeez.
jumping out in the wilderness, only wearing my underwear, just going, rah!
Oh man, okay, that's a good story, Brent.
That's my act of bravery right there for
It's
you.
a good thing
Wow,
you weren't
man.
in one of those camping sections that have, different rows of people at the same time camping. You would have scared a bunch of children.
I would have. I totally would have. Anyway,
Hey,
Mommy,
back to
there's a
9/11.
bear! Somebody shaved a bear down to his skin, and he's down there screaming.
now,
Naked bear!
now, one thing I wanted to talk about before we, wrap this up, and this is an important subject, I think, and a lot of people, especially younger people, don't understand how the world changed that day.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little about some of the negative effects that were long-term effects from 9/11, as far as security and the way we look at the world. Sean, tell us a little bit about. Because you and I have talked about this before. Brent, you and I have too.
One of the first things is TSA. How nuts it's gotten at the airport. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that you get pulled aside. We got to check your bag. I'm like, oh, okay. Nothing there. Of course, I'm going to get a body cavity search from this little pipsqueak guy who thinks he's Chuck Norris now. Give me a break.
Got to undress.
And what's funny about that is I flew for a year with a knife in my carry-on bag, and none of them caught it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't even
For
have
a
clippers.
year,
Fingernail clippers.
I forgot the damn knife was in there, and for a year I was flying with this freaking knife in my carry-on bag, and somebody finally found it when I was flying out of Salt Lake one time. And I told the dude, oh my gosh, that thing's been in there for a year, and I've been on probably 20 flights. And the guy asked me if I would send an email to his bosses telling them that they had found this knife. Yeah, basically, these guys did a good job when the rest of the country didn't. And so I told them I would, and then I thought, nah, I'm not gonna do that. So
well, okay, so how this all started, and this is going to feed Brent's conspiracy feelings.
Well, hold on though. Let me also.
Yeah.
There were some good things that happened. Like, I don't know if you guys remember. Imagine those days when you were dating a girl and stuff like that, and she's like, "Hey, can you give me a ride to the airport?" And you'd be like, "Oh, Yeah, what time? She's like, oh, for 4 a.m. You're like, oh, yeah, because I'm doing nothing at 4 a.m.
Right.
Why not? So, back in the day, like, you'd have to take her to the airport, park your car, walk her all the way down to her gate, watch her get on the plane and go away and stuff like that. And now you just got to drop her off at the curb.
Dump her on the curb, right?
Just
Yeah.
take her to the curb, push her out.
Kick her to
Thanks,
the side.
Osama. And then, she's on her way. So there's some good things that happen.
Does Tracy get dumped on the curb? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes,
Oh.
you can't go any further. You can't go any further than that. Just get her off the curb, get going, and give a nice thanks, Osama.
See you in a couple days.
Yeah.
Well, there was a okay. And this again kind of puts me in a difficult position with Brent. But the Patriot Act that
my
was passed
gosh.
shortly after. Talk about changing our lives. Government
That is so
interference. Yes. All right. Let's talk a little more about that.
Well,
No,
secret
it was
courts.
fantastic. It had to happen. No, Sean and Carl, we need that. We have to be protected.
Yeah.
We were
By our
actually
government.
We
free.
have to
That
have
has
those
to
secret
happen.
courts.
We were
If
actually
that doesn't happen, guys, we will have 9/11s all over every single day in our
which is
country.
complete bullshit. You know that.
It's capitalizing on fear.
Oh yeah. What happened to the? Let's not let the terrorists change our lifestyle or
Well,
change us. It completely changed.
that
Well, the
lasted
terrorists
for
did
about
change it.
2 minutes.
That was the government. By terrorists, you mean our government, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of. Yeah. So shut up, Brent. I didn't want to make it a conspiracy theory talk, but you're right.
It's no conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
There's
well,
no conspiracy
Look.
about the government seeing an opportunity to take advantage of
I think that's
American
it.
people.
It's an opportunity. Right, Sean?
Right.
It's an opportunity.
It
to
created
take
an
advantage.
opportunity. Absolutely. And this is this transcends what happened with all of the terrorism. It's a government that sees an opportunity to say, you know what, this is something we would love to do, and this is our chance, so now we got to do it. And that Patriot Act has been extended, and it is still in effect.
In effect.
It is bullshit.
Yeah.
It is, the government is in a very, very wrong place for doing what they've done. Not good.
That's not a very patriotic thing to say, Sean. You might
Look,
get on a list if
guys,
you're not careful.
And Carl, look,
Yeah.
there's
You know
three
what? If I'm
things
not
that-
already
that-
on
that
the
I
list, I
stand
would
by.
be very surprised. I'm already
proudly
on, a
on that
bunch of them.
list.
I'm quite sure of it.
There are three things that have always stood out to me that nobody can ever explain who says, Brent, you're fucking crazy about this. Number one, Tower 7. If you can explain why Tower 7 suddenly just drops to the ground, I will listen to your comment that, no, it was done by terrorists. Number two, the fact that two towers implode in the exact same fashion, straight down, with steel beams from fuel, does not jive, because as we mentioned in the beginning, there have been many planes that have crashed into the World Trade Center before in the past. And number three, if you can explain to me how some people took a flight class and learned to fly an airplane on the ground for 5 miles to fly it straight into the front doors of the Pentagon at ground level, then I will listen to your arguments and we can talk about it. But until then, I'm sorry. There's just no way. The evidence
I
is
will
stacked
admit,
up
all right, Brent,
way too greatly.
I will admit that Sean may use the correct term. It was an opportunity for the federal government to get more involved in our lives than ever before in the history of the United States. This event. Now, a lot of people.
There's been no plane found in the Pentagon.
I don't know, man. Because
The front doors of the Pentagon were blown off.
I mean, Building 7, I'll give you. I'm not sure how that went down. But as far as the construction of the two towers, it was a different construction than normal high-rise skyscrapers. And I've seen enough explanations to make me go, yeah, I could see how a intense fire could cause the collapse.
Sean, at the beginning of this podcast, you mentioned a a very large airplane that crashed into the Empire State Building, which was built in
But it was built
1927.
differently than the
Okay.
two towers.
You gotta, first of all, a big airplane. Okay, a World War
That's not
II
even
bomber
close as big. Yeah.
is a bigger airplane than a single prop plane that had otherwise crashed into it. However, it was not a jet. It was a prop plane. It was a dual prop plane, and it's not even close to being as big as a seven. What were they?
47.
767, seven. And well, they weren't
Yeah.
747s, but they were, were
have
they
jet fuel?
737?
737s
No,
with
they, they, you know what jet fuel is, guys? It's like kerosene.
Yeah.
It's not this crazy.
diesel
It's
fuel.
just, yeah, it's like
Okay, wait a
diesel
minute.
fuel. It's not.
Okay, what
It's
kind
It
of-
it's
doesn't
not.
burn hot.
It's not nitroglycerin, for crying out loud. It does
Right,
burn
okay,
hot.
was,
It takes a lot of
American.
high heat for it to burn, but it's not nitroglycerin.
But not the temperature to
American
melt steel.
Flight 11. Let's see what kind of plane. It was a 767. That's a big ass plane. That is a big ass plane.
Yes,
and it's got
that
a
is
lot
a
of fuel
big
in
ass
it.
plane.
Plus,
Well,
it was just
in
flying from Boston,
their-
so it
their
was
wings
still loaded with
are
gas.
the gas tanks. You know that, right? You know
Yeah.
where the fuel is stored is the wings, right? So
and that's a great way to
it's
spread
something
the flame.
right. You've got this fuel spread across in a very long distance, and it
Brett,
gets spread
the way
very evenly.
And the way those
I
two
don't-
towers are built. Go ahead. Sorry, Sean.
We're good. I love conspiracy theories. Okay, I love them. I don't know why. My wife makes fun of me. She's like, "Oh, it's another conspiracy theory, Sean." I think that there
Tower
are some
7.
things. I think there are some things that have some
How many
very
years have we-
legitimate beefs.
Well, Brett and I have
This
been
one-
arguing about this since 2001.
I go back and forth. I go back and forth on this. I really do, and a lot. And
How did a tower 4 blocks away collapse?
I
When other
know.
buildings didn't, and it just happened
I
to be
know.
a World Trade Center building.
I
All the other
100%.
ones didn't
Brett.
get
Oh,
hit,
okay,
but that one.
but the way
100%.
the two towers are built, they're built like a bunch of concrete pancakes on top of each other. There were 110 huge concrete platforms built on top of each other with a central central steel in the middle.
There are hundreds of pictures of small blasts being imploded all the way down the tower.
that's not,
Hundreds of pictures.
dude.
Hundreds
No.
and hundreds
Show
of
me-
them.
okay.
Yes, there is.
Just like the freaking.
Okay, first of all, the Port Authority, which has authority over those buildings, was canceled. The insurance was canceled with a payout
I
on
know, I heard that.
Okay.
That's suspicious. I agree.
it. It's not suspicious, it's true. The day before
Brent.
this happened, Rumsfeld discovers that there are billions of dollars missing from the federal government that they don't know where it is,
Yeah.
which happens to be in the same spot that the Pentagon was hit. Okay?
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Billions.
We're gonna have to. He's almost got me convinced, audience, but there's just there's still a part of me that's just like, nah.
When a plane crashes, does a plane crash straight ahead or does it crash on an angle? Something that hits the ground.
It looked like an angle when it was crashing into the.
No.
Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
It
No,
did
it
too.
didn't.
Those tall
it did
buildings
not.
anyway. Well, the one. Okay.
I'm talking about the Pentagon.
Well-
I'm talking about the Pentagon.
Oh, the Pentagon. I'm talking about downtown New York, though. First one, that they have these firefighters out doing something, and they show the plane go. I mean, it was horizontal.
I'm not debating that. We all watched the plane hit.
Yeah.
We all watched the plane hit. I'm not debating that. I'm talking about the Pentagon. The Pentagon, you would have to hit on an angle coming down to hit it, and it hit straight ahead off the ground.
Maybe the pilot got lucky and just kind of sledded right into it.
No.
There's no denying that there are a lot of oddities. Hey, maybe they had some explosives planted in the Pentagon ready to go to take advantage of something if something happened, and they thought, okay, here's our chance. Let's hit this. I'm
No
not
plane has
saying
been
that
found in the Pentagon.
I'm not sure about a lot of things. What I am sure of is there are a lot of bad people out there who will do things to hurt others and to cause harm to society in the name of power and money. And
You're telling me that there's people who would create labs in China and kill Americans intentionally for profit?
yeah, and
Or buy
Ukraine.
up all the farms in the United States so that we could have
Yeah,
biofood
Yeah.
to populate the earth
Dude,
with.
we sound like
That's
InfoWars
unheard
now.
of, Sean.
We're going to
Sean,
rename
I
our
don't know about
podcast
that.
InfoWars, man.
Let me
Which one of
let
you-
me email
which
Bill
one of you
Gates.
guys are going to be
Let
the,
me email
the,
Bill
the
Gates and see what he
guy
says.
that hosted that?
Or we
What's that
call
guy's
ourselves
name?
the Beck Show. Glad Beck's good at conspiracies. All right, well,
Crazy.
all right, guys. College football again this weekend. Who's your pick for Baylor, Utah? Let's go, Sean. What is it?
I gotta go with the Utes. Sorry, Carl.
Oh, I'm okay with that. I don't care on the Baylor.
Yeah, you know,
Utah.
Cam's still out. Cam is still out, but I'm with Sean too. I think these two kids.
Is Cam out
they
again?
look
I
pretty
thought he was
good.
coming back this game.
Yeah.
I know. Okay.
No,
Nah.
he's not playing.
All right.
I saw
He-
that
he
last
might
night that they
dress.
announced that he's not going to play.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think they still eke out a win.
Okay. I think
I
Utah's
don't know
going to
how
win this game.
how good is North Texas? Isn't that who Baylor played last week and they almost
Texas
lost?
State.
Texas
They lost to
State.
Texas
That's
Texas
even
State. They didn't almost. They
that's
did.
even-
Yeah.
They
That's
did
even
lose.
further
I
down.
think-
Oh, did they?
I think-
Yeah. Okay.
I think Baylor's going to play tough in the first half.
Yeah, look. The only way the Utes lose this game is if they go in there overconfident, thinking that Texas State beat these guys. We're going to just walk all over these guys, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a lot closer because it is on the road. It is in Baylor. Very tough place to play.
Now, the Alabama-Texas
But
game
Utes win by
today,
2
where's that
touchdowns.
at?
It's on a
Alabama.
neutral site, isn't it?
Alabama wins by 21. No, it's at Alabama.
I'm
Okay.
going with
Alabama's-
an upset special. I think Sark's going to
No,
beat him
hold on.
in
Let's look at
Alabama.
No.
No, not a chance. It's a Nick Saban assistant. It doesn't win.
All right, I'm gonna say, okay, you two are going
Hold on.
Alabama. I'm going Texas.
Let's see where this game is here.
What happened to you
Let's
guys?
see where this game is here.
Alabama by 10.
Sorry, I'm looking at something right here.
Alabama by 10? I don't
Yeah.
know. I wasn't too impressed with their quarterback last week, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's at Alabama. I just wanted to confirm it was at Alabama.
And
I mean, normally
until
it'd be
I
like-
see otherwise, until Nick Saban retires.
Alabama by 21.
Are we going to see the
Alabama
Manning
by 3
kid? Are we
touchdowns.
going to see the Manning kid if the
No.
no.
He's
No.
third string. He's a third string
No.
quarterback.
Is he really third string?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Third string.
No. Yeah, he's you're not
Yeah.
going to see him.
He ain't playing.
He's
You're
trans.
not going to see him until next year at the very earliest.
He's going to transfer. You watch.
No.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this was a fun podcast.
What a-
and-
Where
wait.
do the kittens play?
Hold
Well,
on.
Oh, the kids,
Southern
Well,
Utah.
the Clintons, Southern Utah. It's not even a. We shouldn't even talk about that
Oh,
one.
Southern Utah by 10.
Whatever.
They
Cougars
almost
are going to roll.
They
The
almost
Cougars are rolling
hey,
today.
They gave Arizona State a challenge, so you
They're
know
rolling.
Arizona State.
Arizona State
is not-
sucks. They don't know
So
how to
does
play football in
BYU.
Phoenix.
Did you
They
did you
don't- they
watch
don't play
last week's
football in
game?
Phoenix, Sean.
Did
14 to
you
nothing against
watch-
the high school.
Holy
Yeah,
crap!
yeah, I did. But that's a
That-
Texas
that-
team,
hey,
Sean.
That
That's
was
a
the
Texas team.
worst BYU football
Sam
game that I have
Houston.
seen in years.
Sean, you guys don't play football in Phoenix. You don't know how. It's too hot. The football
No,
melts
that's not
before
true.
you can throw the ball to the receiver. I mean, you can
No, that
literally
just-
watch the football wobble and then disintegrate as it crashes to the ground
me
because
tell
it's
you,
180 degrees there.
Because my daughter was a cheerleader for her high school team, I had to go to a lot of football games. And let me
Oh,
tell
that
you,
sounds
the
nasty.
kids down here are tough as hell. They hydrate
I bet.
and they play and they just drink a ton of Gatorade and water and they play through that and I'm telling you, man, the kids that play
Mom,
football down
that-
here in that heat are tough as hell.
That lady looks like a piece of leather. Oh, she lived down in Phoenix for a year.
Hey, let me ask you guys two other games though. Actually, maybe three other games to talk about here.
Okay.
Ole Miss and Tulane at Tulane. Tulane's ranked 24. They've got a good team over the last couple of years. Ole Miss put up like 70 points last week, but
Ole Miss is
I'm
going
gonna go
powered
with Tulane.
offense. Yeah,
The
that's
Green
going to be a
Wave.
good one. That's going to be a better game than other people think. And then the other one is Nebraska and the Deion
Colorado.
Sanders.
Colorado's going to win.
I thought they were just called Prime. I didn't know they were called. In fact, I thought we
Colorado
canceled
Prime.
football and just gave the championship to Prime. I thought we just handed him the national
Colorado
championship
Prime.
after last week.
Yeah.
I think this is the only year I'm going to hope Colorado gets wasted by Utah. I mean, I usually root for the Buffs when they play the Utes, but
Oh,
this year
come
I'm
on.
going to.
You live in the state of Utah and you don't root for them even when that's just beyond. So that's one of the reasons
Like
why
you
so many
guys
people.
root, like you two morons root
Hold
for
on
the
a minute.
Cougars ever.
Hold on a minute. No, hold on a minute. Hold on
Hey,
a minute.
Carl-
There's a big
Carl's right.
difference.
Carl's right.
We don't live in the state of Deseret. You live in the state
You're
of
from
Utah.
there.
How the hell?
You're from here.
I know.
It's even worse.
I know. No,
Your-
listen.
your
You need
family-
to shut your mouth and listen. The state
Hey,
of
hey,
Utah,
calm
the
calm
University of Utah is the state university. The BYU school is the religious university of the dominant religion.
Sean's
There's a
kinda
big
worked up
difference.
here. Has any of our viewers or our audience ever heard Sean get that excited about anything? Wow.
There is
And you know
such
what,
a
though?
big
you know what, though?
difference
Look.
in that.
Carl's right. Look, Carl's right. You know, Carl, you were talking about the BYU Cotton Bowl game back in, what was that, 96? I think it was 97.
Yeah, that was
something
a great
like
year.
So they got there because they had to play in the new WAC championship game against Wyoming that was down in Las Vegas.
That was a pretty good game.
I went to that game.
Yeah.
I went to that game
That was
because
tough game.
it came down between Utah and BYU. Whoever won that game was going to go play in that game. So we bought tickets ahead of time,
Thinking you were going to win.
thinking that our youths were going to go. Oh, so we sat in the Wyoming section
I bet you did.
because well, hold on, wait, I take that back. We sat in the BYU section
And were Wyoming
because
closed? Or you closed?
because we knew that bar would be wide open for us.
Well, okay. And this is funny.
And hold on. And we cheered the fuck out of Wyoming. Like we won, and it was a great game. Like that fourth quarter, I remember nobody sat down. It was back and forth. Wyoming was a good team that year. People forget that, and they got ripped out of that. But it came down to that very final play when BYU won the game. And it was one of the funnest games we've been at because we were cheering for Wyoming. BYU fans are just everything's the ref's faults for BYU fan.
Oh, it's the same thing
terrible.
with you fans, but okay.
It's the same thing with
there's
every
some truth
fan.
to what Brent's
With
saying
every
because
fan.
we laugh about it as BYU fans because we'll be on the road in somewhere out east playing another team, and there'll be like 1,000 Cougar fans in the stadium, and then there's like 3 red dots sitting with the blue fans, but cheering their guts out for like West Virginia against BYU. And we know who those
Absolutely.
3 red dots are. They're Utes.
Right here.
Yeah, they're Utes.
I'm one.
Yeah.
I'm one.
So
I'm
Sean,
one of those guys.
So Sean, my hatred of the Utes is perfectly justified in this case. And now you've got
think
me
you're right,
wanting
Carl.
saying, go Bears, go Bears, rock on, beat those damn Utes today.
You hate the neighborhood that you live in. It's
No.
Yeah, that makes
No,
a lot
no,
of sense.
I
Makes a
don't
lot of
live in-
sense.
I don't live in foothills. You didn't either.
You don't-
Up
you don't
the
live in
snobby
Utah?
area up in,
You,
no, you didn't.
You don't live in Utah?
up on the hill. I live in Utah, but
you
BYU's down in
didn't. You
Provo,
didn't live
baby.
in
That's where
Provo
I'm at.
either.
I'm in Pleasant Grove.
Oh
I'm
my
like 3
gosh.
miles away. I can see Cougar
Carl, what
Stadium.
school did you go to?
I can
Carl,
see
Carl,
Cougar
what
Stadium
school did
from
you
where
go
I
to?
live. It's
What
Do you
school
have-
did you go to, Carl?
I
Where
went
did you
Skyline.
go to
Carl,
high
where did you go
school?
to school?
Yeah.
I flew.
Okay.
No, where
Down
did you
the
go to
street.
college, Carl?
We took.
Down
Where
the
did you go to
street from the
college,
U.
Carl?
I went to Skyline High School and we shit on the Cypress logo whenever we had a chance.
Carl, what university did you go to? What school
my
did you
God.
attend?
All right. I went to the U for 1 semester. All right.
Yes!
Oh my gosh.
I went to BYU for 1 semester too. So and I went to
Benedict
Salt Lake
Arnold.
Community College 1 semester. So.
Hey, with
Benedict
that
Arnold.
though, you know, like we were talking, Carl, like, you know, the Big 12 next year and this Big 12 chat board, and now they're getting like upset with all the rant and everything of BYU and Utah fan all year long. That's the way it is. It is Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah,
it is that much
I
hatred
don't want
in
to
it.
be cheering
It is
for the
Auburn
Utes,
and
guys. That would be
Alabama.
boring. You
There
too?
is
I'm
there
thinking-
is no rivalry in the Big 12 like Utah and BYU. And you know what, Big 12 fan? You are going to hear it 365 days a year. I'm sorry.
You know,
It is a pure
It's going to be
hatred.
the most highly rated, one of the most highly rated games in the Big 12 every year.
It will.
Yeah,
It will.
by far.
It
Hey,
will
by
be.
the way, Kansas looks pretty decent except for their defense. So,
Oh, they did,
They look-
didn't they?
they look really good on
They
offense.
looked
Hey,
really good against
Before
Illinois.
the year, I told
They
you
look good.
yahoos that Kansas was going to be good. You can go
You
back
did.
and
right,
look
you're
at
right,
Sean.
footage.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah,
right,
you're
Sean.
right. You're right. We do. I'll give you some
Yesterday,
credit.
they looked very, very good.
By the way, you
Their
might want to
uniforms
take a
look good,
Valium
too.
after this show, man. You gotten a little excited there, man.
I love it. I love excited, Sean.
We were talking about 9/11, and Sean's like, and then we start talking about BYU.
love
Oh my gosh!
I love it.
I love it. All right,
You're
guys.
welcome, Big 12 fan. You're welcome.
All right, guys. Well, hey,
You know what?
And Brett, tell us real quick before we end the show, where are you headed to right now? You got your volunteer shirt on. Tell us the little trip you're planning today with your lovely wife.
I mean, they're opening at home at Austin P. Somebody posted something
Where is
funny
Austin
online
P
that
at?
was like,
What is an Austin
it's
P?
in
Texas.
Clarksville. It's Clarksville. No, it's Tennessee. It's here in Tennessee.
Oh, is
What
it?
is a
Oh,
It's
P?
in Clarksville.
Oh, is it a name of
Yeah.
someone? P-A-Y?
Yeah, it was a guy. Yeah,
His name was Austin?
P-E-A-Y.
Such a
Yeah,
lame name.
But
Anyway,
it is. I mean, it's a cool little school. It's like Utah Valley. You know, it's a nice little campus and stuff like that. They got
Utah
good
Valley's the
football
biggest school in
facilities and
Utah, I
stuff.
think.
it is.
Anyway.
Is it really?
Over 50,000
Yeah.
students now.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know
crazy.
that.
Yeah, that's crazy big.
I had
big.
no idea.
Well, guys,
But you know, somebody
That's
posted
where everybody goes
Tennessee's
that
the
who-
only.
what-
They were saying Tennessee's the only team that has 3 home fields: Neyland Stadium in Tennessee, Nissan Stadium in Nashville, and Vanderbilt Stadium in Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Because every
Yeah.
time they play there, it's filled with orange
well,
everywhere.
UT's the only real show in Tennessee, except Memphis kind of thinks they're something, but they didn't even get into the Big
Memphis
12.
isn't part of Tennessee. They don't claim
This
Memphis.
state is, yeah.
Yeah.
This state is orange. It bleeds orange. You know, football is hot right now. This is a great team that they got, and everybody's on cloud 9 right now.
Yeah, they
just
People
waiting for
in-
Georgia and waiting for Alabama.
Yeah, they
People
did suck
in Memphis that are
until
big
now.
football fans are Old Miss fans.
It's true.
That's true.
Ole Miss is the big school there. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. That's where a lot of people go from Memphis. And it's not far. It's only like 70 miles down to Ole Miss from Memphis.
Well, boys,
It's relatively close.
it's been fun. I gotta get going myself. Saturday morning today.
Great show, guys.
Yeah, but great show. It was.
I'll
yeah.
think of you guys when I'm watching Metallica tonight.
Have
Oh,
fun,
that's
man.
right. You're going to.
Where's it at?
Yeah, where's that at?
It's
Where's
Downtown?
it
at State Farm Stadium, where the Cardinals
State
play.
Farm?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's sweet, man.
You actually have air
That's
conditioning.
great,
That's
man.
nice.
I have a good.
Yeah.
That's a
Gonna
great
be
show.
in-
I saw them 4 years ago up in Louisville, and they have these things that hang. They're speakers, but they're like not cameras, but projection TV screens all over the state. So you'll see that, Sean, just laying all. It's cool. It's a great show, man. You're
hey,
gonna love it.
I'm
You need to
excited.
you need
I'm
to
in
take
our
a little,
company suite.
Well, take
Even better.
Take the hand video
Yeah.
when Enter the Sandman gets started. I wanna see you jumping up and getting crazy. Sean, at
Man,
age
I
53,
love
going nuts.
concerts. I love concerts. They are so much fun.
They are. All right, guys, have a great one. It's been
Have a
been
great one,
awesome, man.
guys. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
I'm
Yep.
about to
Hey,
turn
good
on
guy.
the U game.
On a sunny morning 20 years ago, I was just a kid and I've never seen such a thing before. Turn on the TV, but mother cried at me. Phones were screaming everywhere, and people afraid for their families. Flames and rumbling, seen them fell across New York. Oh, I couldn't count all the white sheets came raining down from the burning sky above. People crying, oh, my heart is torn apart. Pain slowly fills my body. It hurts so bad, oh, I can't hardly talk. We will never forget that day. We will never be the same. Brothers, sisters, gone but not forgotten. We will always, yeah, always, forever remember every one of you. Came back stronger, but some scars may never heal. Heroes will not be forgotten, for always live on inside of you and me. Sweet, sweet memories will forever linger on, like the melody of eternity. Together we will always stand as one. We will never forget that day. We will never be the same. Brothers, sisters, gone but not forgotten. We will always, yeah, always, and forever remember every one of you. We will never forget that day. We will never be the same. Brothers, sisters, gone but not forgotten. We will always, yeah, always, and forever remember everyone.